"You there, the billionaire with the stupid tweet, come up here now." Avril Lavigne's voice sliced through the Standard Hotel rooftop. 300 guests turned. 1.2 million viewers watched on Instagram Live. Elon Musk was 48 years old. His hands trembled. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean." "Save it." She pointed to the center of the circle. "Let's see if you can actually sing, or if you're just another tech bro who thinks he understands art." She snapped at DJ Khaled. "Give him the greatest, the impossible note that won me a Grammy." She leaned close, smiling for the cameras. "Fail publicly, Rocket Man." The crowd held its breath. What he did next didn't just prove her wrong. It revealed a secret he'd buried for 35 years. But this story doesn't start at a celebrity party in 2019. It starts in Pretoria, South Africa, 1984. In a dusty music room at Bryanston High School, where a 13-year-old boy with perfect pitch learned to breathe properly for the first time in his life. It starts with a teacher named Adelaide van der Merwe, who saw something precious in a bullied, awkward kid who ate lunch alone. It starts with a talent show that went so catastrophically wrong that Elon Musk swore he'd never sing again. Not for anyone. Not ever. He kept that promise for 35 years. Until Avril Lavigne forced him to break it in front of 300 people and 200 million eventual viewers. This is the true story of the note that changed everything. Of a wound that took 3 decades to heal. Of a teacher who never stopped believing, even after she died. This is the story of the night Elon Musk finished a song he started as a child. The crystal chandeliers sparkled above the crowd like captured stars. Elon Musk stood near the champagne fountain at the Standard Hotel in New York City, his phone glowing in his hand as he scrolled through Tesla production numbers. Around him, the 2019 Met Gala afterparty roared with energy. Celebrities in designer gowns, musicians with platinum records, actors fresh from movie premieres. Everyone belonged here except him. He checked his watch. Grimes would perform in 20 minutes. That's the only reason he'd come to this party. His girlfriend loved these events, thrived in them. Elon just felt awkward. "Hey, Rocket Man." The voice cut through the music and laughter, sharp, angry. Elon looked up to see Avril Lavigne walking toward him, her silver-studded boots clicking against the marble floor. 3 other musicians followed behind her, people Elon didn't recognize but who clearly recognized him. Their faces weren't friendly. "Avril," Elon said, attempting a smile. "Great party." "Is it?" Avril stopped directly in front of him, arms crossed. Her dark eye makeup made her stare even more intense. "Because I'm not having a great time. You know why." Elon's stomach tight. He knew what this was about. This morning, during a boring meeting, he tweeted, "Singing is just controlled yelling with rhythm. Change my mind." It was supposed to be funny, a throwaway joke. Apparently, musicians didn't find it funny. "Look, that tweet was just," Elon started. "Just what? Just you dismissing something you know nothing about?" Avril's voice rose slightly. Other partygoers began to notice. Conversations nearby quieted. "Do you have any idea how hard singers work? The training, the discipline, the years of practice." "I didn't mean." "We saw your tweet," one of Avril's friends interrupted. A tall man with a guitar case slung over his shoulder. "All of us. You think art is easy. You think what we do is simple." Elon's face flushed red. More people were turning to watch now. Phones appeared, held at waist level, recording. This was going to be on social media within minutes. His PR team would have a breakdown. "I was making a joke," Elon said, trying to keep his voice calm. "I didn't mean to offend anyone." "Too late." Avril stepped closer. The crowd around them thickened. Someone whispered, "What's happening?" Another person shushed them. Then Avril smiled, not a friendly smile, a challenging smile. "You know what? Let's test your theory," she said loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "If singing is so easy, if it's just controlled yelling with rhythm, then you should be able to do it. Right now, right here." Elon's mouth went dry. "What?" "Sing something, solo, a cappella. No music, no auto-tune, no engineers fixing your mistakes in post-production." Avril's eyes glittered with victory. She knew she had him trapped. "Just you and your voice. Show us how easy it is." The crowd pressed closer. Elon could see phones everywhere now, all pointed at him. Someone laughed nervously. Another person said, "Oh my God, this is happening." "I don't think," Elon began. "What's wrong?" Avril asked, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I thought it was easy, just controlled yelling, right? Anyone can do it. Elon looked around desperately. Where was Grimes? He spotted her across the room, pushing through the crowd, but she was too far away. Security guards stood at the edges, unsure whether to intervene. DJ Khaled appeared at the edge of the circle, his eyes wide. Yo, is this really about to go down? Come on, Elon, someone in the crowd yelled. Do it. Others joined in. Sing, sing, sing. Elon's hands trembled slightly. If he refused, he'd look like a coward. The video clips would spread everywhere. Billionaire mocks musicians, then backs down when challenged. The headlines wrote themselves. But if he tried to sing, he'd embarrass himself in front of hundreds of people. He hadn't sung in public since he was 13 years old. Since the worst night of his childhood. His heart pounded. Old fears surfaced, memories of laughter, of humiliation, of running off a stage while cruel voices followed him. Fine, Elon heard himself say. His voice sounded distant, like someone else was speaking. Fine, but you picked the song. The crowd erupted in surprised shouts and gasps. Avril's smirk widened. She pulled out her phone, scrolled for a moment, then looked up with triumph in her eyes. The greatest by Je, she announced. Know it. Elon's blood ran cold, he knew it. Grimes played it constantly. He knew exactly how difficult it was, soaring high notes that challenged even professional singers. Yeah, he said quietly, I know it. Avril gestured to DJ Khaled. You got the instrumental. DJ Khaled nodded slowly, pulling out his phone. Man, this is wild. This is absolutely wild. The crowd formed a tight circle. Someone pushed the champagne fountain aside to make room. The marble floor became a stage. Security guards spoke into their radios but didn't move. Grimes finally broke through the crowd, her face panicked. Elon, you don't have to do this. But Elon held up his hand, stopping her. Something had shifted in his expression. His jaw set firmly. His eyes focused straight ahead. The opening piano notes of The Greatest began playing through the sound system. Elon Musk closed his eyes and took a deep breath, slow, controlled, from his diaphragm. And somewhere in his memory, 35 years away, a kind South African woman named Adelaide Van der Merwe whispered, Trust your gift, Elon. It's still there. It's always been there. Just listen. Pretoria, South Africa, March 1984. 13-year-old Elon Musk sat alone in the music room at Bryanston High School, eating his sandwich in silence. The room smelled like old wood and brass polish. Outside the windows, he could hear other students laughing, playing soccer, living normal lives. Elon wasn't allowed those normal lives. Not anymore. 2 weeks ago, 3 older boys had surrounded him in the hallway. The biggest one, Johan Pretorius, had shoved him hard. Think you're so smart, computer boy. Elon had fallen, his books scattering. The laughter had followed him for days. So now he ate lunch in the music room, the one place they didn't bother looking for him. The door opened suddenly. Elon jumped, sandwich falling to the floor. Sorry, dear, didn't mean to startle you. Mrs. Adelaide Van der Merwe stood in the doorway. She was maybe 55 years old, with silver hair pulled into a neat bun. Her kind eyes crinkled when she smiled. She taught music theory and piano to the younger students. It's okay, Elon mumbled, picking up his sandwich. The floor was dirty. He couldn't eat it now. His stomach growled. He'd skipped breakfast to avoid Johan in the morning. Mrs. Van der Merwe noticed. She always noticed things. Eating lunch in here now, are we? Elon shrugged, not meeting her eyes. She sat down at the piano bench, patting the space beside her. Come here, I want to show you something. Elon hesitated. Adults usually wanted to talk about his problems. They'd use words like adjustment and fitting in and trying harder. As if he wasn't already trying as hard as he could. But Mrs. Van der Merwe didn't look like she wanted to talk. She just waited patiently, hands resting on the piano keys. Slowly, Elon walked over and sat beside her. She played a simple melody, beautiful and sad. Do you know what this is? Elon shook his head. Mozart, Lacrimosa. It means weeping in Latin. She played it again, slower this time. Music is a safe place, Elon. When the world is cruel, music understands. She stopped playing and looked at him. Would you like to learn piano? I mean, you could come here during lunch, practice. It might be nice, having something that's just yours. Elon considered this. Learning piano meant spending lunch hour with Mrs. Van der Merwe instead of hiding. It meant having a reason to be in the music room beyond just escaping. "Okay," he said quietly. Mrs. Van der Merwe smiled. "Wonderful, let's start with something simple. Hum this note for me." She pressed middle C. Elon hummed. The sound matched the piano perfectly. Mrs. Van der Merwe's eyebrows rose slightly. "Good. Now this one." She pressed E again. Elon matched it exactly. She played 5 more notes, random and scattered across the keyboard. Each time, Elon hummed the correct pitch without hesitation. Mrs. Van der Merwe sat back, staring at him with an expression Elon couldn't read. "Elon, do you know what perfect pitch is?" "No." "It's when someone can identify or produce any musical note without a reference. Most people can't do it. Most musicians can't do it. Maybe 1 in 10,000 people have this gift." She pressed a key without letting Elon see which one. "What note is this?" "F sharp," Elon said automatically. Mrs. Van der Merwe's hands trembled slightly. "How did you know that?" Elon frowned. I just heard it. That's what it sounds like. F sharp." For the next hour, she tested him thoroughly. Every single time, Elon identified the note correctly. Not just piano notes. When a car horn honked outside, Elon said it was somewhere between B-flat and B. When the school bell rang, he called it E-flat but slightly sharp. Mrs. Van der Merwe sat in stunned silence. "Elon, you have an extraordinary gift. Do you understand? This is rare, precious." Elon didn't feel precious. He felt like the weird kid who got beaten up and ate lunch alone. But Mrs. Van der Merwe saw something else. Over the following months, she worked with him every day during lunch. She taught him breath control, proper posture, pitch modulation. She discovered that Elon's voice, when trained, could hit notes most 13-year-olds couldn't reach. "You're a natural tenor," she told him one day in June. "With training, you could be extraordinary." For the first time since moving to this terrible school, Elon felt good at something that wasn't computers. Music made sense. The rules were clear. Notes were either right or wrong. No gray area, no confusion. Mrs. Van der Merwe became his safe person. The music room became his safe place. Then in July, she approached him with exciting news. "The school talent show is in 3 weeks," she said, her eyes bright. "I think you should perform." Elon's stomach dropped. "Perform in front of people?" "Yes, this is your chance to show everyone what you can do, to prove you're not just the quiet computer boy. You have a gift, Elon, a real gift. People need to see it." "But what if they see how talented you are? What if they respect you?" Mrs. Van der Merwe squeezed his shoulder. "Music can change how people see you. Trust me." Elon wanted to trust her. She'd never been wrong before. "What would I sing?" he asked nervously. "Sari Marais," she said immediately. "A beautiful South African folk song, simple melody but room to show your range. We have 3 weeks to prepare. You'll be magnificent." Elon nodded slowly, fear and hope mixing in his chest. He didn't know it yet, but he just agreed to the worst night of his life. August 16, 1984, the night before. Elon couldn't sleep. Tomorrow night was the talent show. He'd practiced Sari Marais hundreds of times. Mrs. Van der Merwe said he was ready, said he'd be wonderful. But lying in his bed in the dark, Elon kept seeing Johann Pretorius's face, kept hearing the laughter from the hallway, kept remembering every shove, every cruel word, every moment of humiliation. Tomorrow, he'd stand on a stage in front of all of them. His hands shook under the covers. "It'll be okay," he told himself. "Mrs. Van der Merwe believes in you. The gift is real. They'll see. They'll finally see." He repeated this like a prayer until exhaustion finally pulled him into restless sleep. He had no idea that tomorrow night would destroy his faith in that gift forever. The Standard Hotel, New York City, 2019. Instrumental track of The Greatest filled the rooftop venue. Piano notes echoed off the Manhattan skyline. Every phone in the room pointed at Elon Musk. Avril Lavigne stood with her arms crossed, confidence radiating from her. She'd chosen this song specifically. The chorus required hitting a sustained B-flat, a note that lived in the upper register of most voices. Even she had to warm up extensively before attempting it live. She'd seen professional singers crack on that note during performances. Elon Musk, a tech billionaire who built rockets and cars, would humiliate himself trying. The video would go viral. Justice for all the artists he'd mocked with that careless tweet. DJ Khaled adjusted the volume on his phone, the instrumental now playing through the venue's speaker system. He glanced at his own phone screen where comments were already flooding in on his Instagram Live. This is about to be legendary. Elon's gonna embarrass himself so bad. Why would he agree to this? RIP Elon's dignity 2019-2019. The view count climbed 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 people watching live. Grimes pushed desperately through the crowd trying to reach Elon. "Excuse me, let me through, that's my boyfriend." But the wall of people was too thick, too excited for the spectacle. She could only watch from 15 feet away, her face pale with worry. At the edge of the circle, a woman with silver-dyed hair stood perfectly still. Marie van der Merwe had come to this party on a whim, invited by a producer friend. She'd been about to leave when she heard the commotion. When she saw Elon Musk's face, she knew that face. Her mother had shown her pictures, old yearbook photos from Bryanston High School. "The boy with the gift," her mother had called him. "The one I failed." Marie's hand moved to her purse where her mother's journal rested. She hadn't planned to approach him tonight. Hadn't planned to approach him ever, really. The journal was simply something she carried, a connection to her late mother. But now, watching this moment unfold, she understood why she'd felt compelled to bring it. The instrumental continued. The moment was arriving. Elon would need to begin singing or walk away in defeat. A Tesla engineer in the crowd frantically texted his colleagues, "Boss is about to sing at Met Gala afterparty. This is not a drill. Turn on Instagram." In living rooms and offices across the world, people dropped what they were doing. Tesla's stock began fluctuating on after-hours trading. Financial reporters typed urgent headlines. Elon Musk involved in public confrontation at celebrity event. Avril's manager, standing behind her, leaned in close. "Avril, maybe we should stop this. If he actually can't sing, this could get ugly. We don't want to look like bullies." "He's a billionaire who mocked artists," Avril whispered back. "He'll be fine. His ego might get bruised, but he'll survive." What she didn't say, part of her hoped this would teach him empathy. Hoped that feeling vulnerable and exposed might make him think twice before dismissing other people's skills and work. The instrumental reached the verse entry point. Elon stood motionless, eyes closed. His jaw was tight. His hands, usually gesturing while he talked about Mars colonies or electric vehicles, hung still at his sides. Inside his mind, two timelines collided. In one timeline, he was 48 years old, one of the richest people on Earth, surrounded by celebrities and cameras. In the other timeline, he was 13 years old, standing on a stage at Bryanston High School, wearing his best shirt that was still slightly too small, looking out at an auditorium full of students who'd made his life hell. Both timelines shared the same sensation, absolute terror. His heart pounded so hard he could feel it in his throat. His palms were sweating. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to make a joke, to deflect somehow. But he'd already agreed. The crowd waited. The world watched. Elon Musk opened his eyes. They were different now, focused, determined. The fear was still there, would always be there, but something else had joined it, defiance. He took one more breath, deep, controlled. From his diaphragm, exactly as Adelaide van der Merwe had taught him 35 years ago in a dusty music room in Pretoria. The first word of the song arrived. And Elon Musk began to sing. The first note came out clear and steady. "Don't give up, I won't give up." Elon's voice filled the rooftop space, cutting through the expectant silence. The tone was smooth, controlled, unmistakably on pitch. The crowd's background chatter died instantly. Faces that had been smirking moments before now showed confusion, then surprise, then outright shock. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a billionaire fumbling through a song to save face. This was actual singing. Avril Lavigne's confident posture faltered. Her arms slowly uncrossed. Her manager beside her whispered, "What the hell?" Elon moved through the first verse with precision. Each word landed exactly on pitch. His breath control was textbook perfect, phrases connected smoothly without gasping or strain. This wasn't natural talent stumbling forward. This was technique, training. DJ Khaled's mouth hung open. He'd expected disaster, maybe some laughs, definitely a viral moment of embarrassment. Instead, his Instagram Live exploded with confused comments. "Wait, he can actually sing. This is not what I expected. Why does Elon Musk have a better voice than me? I'm so confused right now." The view count skyrocketed: 250,000, 400,000, 600,000 people watching worldwide. Grimes stood frozen in the crowd, tears forming in her eyes. She'd dated Elon for over a year. They talked about music constantly. She was a musician, it was her life. And never once had he mentioned he could sing, never hummed along to her tracks, never even suggested he had any musical ability. What else didn't she know about him? Marie Van der Merwe clutched her mother's journal tighter. She was crying now, not bothering to hide it. Her mother had been right. The gift had never left. It had just been waiting. Elon's confidence grew with each line. Muscle memory flooded back, not just from those 6 months with Mrs. Van der Merwe, but something deeper. The perfect pitch that had always been part of him, dormant but never gone, awakening again. His voice carried the unique quality that perfect pitch provides: absolute certainty. No searching for notes, no approximating. Each pitch existed in his mind as clearly as colors exist to eyes. An Atlantic Records producer in the crowd pulled out his own phone, recording separately. He recognized technical proficiency when he heard it. This wasn't just pretty good for a CEO. This was legitimately skilled singing. The song built toward the pre-chorus. The melody climbed higher, moving into the range where amateur singers typically struggle, where voices crack and strain and reveal their limitations. Avril had been counting on this moment. Instead, Elon's voice rose smoothly to meet the ascending melody. No strain, no weakness. The notes came out pure and supported, his breath control maintaining consistent tone throughout the climb. "Oh my God," someone in the crowd whispered. "Is this really happening?" another person asked. A music journalist from Rolling Stone typed frantically on her phone, witnessing the most unexpected vocal performance of 2019. "Elon Musk can sing. Not joking. Full story coming." Avril's face had gone pale. The smug satisfaction she'd felt 3 minutes ago had evaporated completely. Something was very wrong with her plan. She'd brought a knife to a gunfight without realizing her opponent was armed. Her guitarist friend leaned over. "Avril, he's actually good, like really good." "I can hear that," she said quietly, her voice tight. The instrumental swelled. The bridge approached, the section that contained the killer note. The sustained B-flat that Avril herself had to prepare extensively to hit. The note that made this song a vocal challenge even for professionals. It was coming in 10 seconds, then 5. Elon's eyes remained closed. His face showed intense concentration but not strain. He looked like someone solving a complex equation in his mind, following a mathematical proof to its inevitable conclusion. The bridge arrived. The melody demanded the high B-flat, held for a full 4 beats at forte dynamic. Elon's voice rose to meet it. The note came out perfectly centered, fully supported, ringing clearly across the rooftop. He held it for the entire duration without wavering, without the pitch sagging or the tone weakening. It was the kind of note that required training, practice. Natural ability combined with developed skill. The crowd erupted, not in laughter, not in mockery, in genuine shocked applause and shouts of disbelief. "What? No way. How is this possible?" DJ Khaled was literally jumping up and down. Yo, did that just happen? Elon got pipes. Elon Musk got pipes." The Instagram live comments scrolled too fast to read. "I literally can't believe what I just heard. That note was insane, better than half the singers at this party. Elon Musk, singing, and good. I need to lie down." View count, 1-2 million people watching. Elon moved into the final chorus, his confidence now fully present. The fear that had gripped him at the start had transformed into something else, not pride exactly, but a kind of vindication. A proof that the gift Mrs. Van der Merwe had identified all those years ago had been real. He sang the final lines with controlled power, letting the emotion of the lyrics carry through his voice. The last note faded naturally, professionally, into silence. For one perfect moment, the rooftop was completely quiet. Then the space exploded with noise. Applause, shouts, shocked laughter, excited conversations all erupting at once. People rushed forward, hands reaching out to congratulate Elon, to touch him, to be part of this impossible moment. That was incredible. "Dude, you could have a music career. Why aren't you on Spotify?" Elon opened his eyes slowly. His face showed no triumph, no smugness. Instead, he looked exhausted, vulnerable, like he'd just exposed something deeply personal that he'd kept hidden for 35 years. His gaze found Avril through the crowd. She stood motionless, separated from him by dozens of celebrating people. Her face showed shame, confusion, and something else, a dawning realization that she'd made a terrible mistake. She hadn't just challenged a tech billionaire to sing. She'd forced someone to relive their deepest trauma, to face their greatest fear, all for the entertainment of a crowd and the satisfaction of her own wounded pride. Grimes finally broke through the wall of people. She grabbed Elon's arm. "That was amazing. Incredible. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ever?" Elon gently pulled his arm away. "Because I can't," he said quietly, his voice raw from singing and emotion. "What you just did." "No," Elon said, already moving toward the exit. "I survived it, that's different." He pushed through the celebrating crowd, leaving confusion in his wake. Only one person understood what he meant. Marie van der Merwe, standing at the edge of the rooftop, watched him disappear into the hotel. She touched her mother's journal one more time. Then she followed him. Elon found the rooftop garden 20 minutes later. It was quieter here, just the distant hum of Manhattan traffic below and the soft rustle of potted trees in the night breeze. The city lights spread out before him like a circuit board, orderly and logical, unlike the chaos he'd just left behind. He leaned against the metal railing, his hands trembling slightly. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind a hollow feeling in his chest. He'd done it. He'd actually sung in front of people, hit every note, didn't freeze. So why did he feel like he'd lost something instead of won? I don't even know what that was. Elon turned to see Avril Lavigne standing at the garden entrance. She approached slowly, her earlier confidence completely gone. She looked younger now, uncertain. "You found me," Elon said, turning back to the skyline. "I asked security which way you went." Avril moved to stand a few feet away from him, giving him space. "I needed to talk to you, away from all those people." "Talk then." Avril was quiet for a moment, searching for words. "You could have a music career if you wanted. That wasn't just good, that was professional level. The breath control, the pitch accuracy, that high note." She shook her head. "I've worked with Grammy-winning vocalists who can't hit that note as cleanly as you just did." Elon laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "No, I couldn't." "Are you serious? You have perfect pitch. Do you understand how rare that is? Most singers would sacrifice anything for that gift." "Having perfect pitch doesn't mean anything if you can't perform," Elon said, his voice tight. He still wouldn't look at her. "You want to know what perfect pitch really is? It's torture. It's hearing every car alarm slightly flat, every restaurant musician playing half a step sharp, every out-of-tune piano in every hotel lobby. You hear the world's imperfections constantly, and you can't turn it off." Avril moved closer to the railing. The anger she'd felt earlier had transformed into something else: guilt, curiosity, and a growing sense that she'd stumbled into something much deeper than a simple challenge. "Why did you never pursue music?" she asked softly. Elon was silent for so long that Avril thought he might not answer. Then he spoke, his voice distant. "I was 13. Bryanston High School in Pretoria, South Africa. I was small for my age, weird, obsessed with computers and science fiction." "Easy target," he paused. "There was this music teacher, Mrs. Adelaide van der Merwe. She discovered I had perfect pitch, started training me during lunch periods." Avril listened, not interrupting. "For 6 months, music was my safe place. The one thing I was genuinely good at that wasn't just solving math problems or writing code. Mrs. van der Merwe said I had a gift, a real gift." Elon's hands gripped the railing tighter. "She convinced me to perform at the school talent show, said it would help me, said people would see me differently, respect me." "What happened?" "August 17, 1984, Elon said, the date coming easily, permanently burned into his memory. "I walked onto that stage wearing my best shirt, which was still too small because my family didn't have much money. The auditorium was packed, all the students who made my life hell sitting there waiting." Avril could picture it perfectly, could imagine young Elon, thin and scared, facing his bullies. "I saw their faces. Johan Pretorius, who'd thrown me down a flight of stairs the month before. Marcus du Toit, who'd stolen my lunch money, all of them, laughing before I even opened my mouth." Elon's voice cracked slightly. "I knew the song perfectly. Sari Marais. I'd practiced it hundreds of times. Mrs. van der Merwe said I was ready. But when I opened my mouth, nothing came out, complete silence. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, felt like hours, just frozen, unable to make a single sound. Elon finally turned to look at Avril. His eyes were red. The laughter got louder. Someone threw something at the stage. I ran off, just ran. Avril felt tears forming in her own eyes. Elon, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, nobody knows. I never told anyone, not my ex-wives, not my current girlfriend, not my closest friends. He turned back to the skyline. You know what the worst part was? Mrs. Van der Merwe tried to talk to me the next day, said we could try again, that one mistake didn't define me, but I couldn't look at her. I felt like I'd failed her, failed myself. What did you do? I quit music completely, threw myself into computers and programming, things that were logical, things where you didn't have to perform in front of people who wanted to see you fail. Elon's voice grew stronger, more controlled. I built companies, changed industries, put rockets into space, and every single time I had to present, to speak publicly, to perform in any way, I was back in that auditorium, 13 years old, unable to make a sound. The weight of this confession hung between them. Avril moved closer, her voice gentle. But tonight you did make a sound. You sang beautifully. You hit notes that professional singers struggle with. Tonight I was trapped, cornered, just like I was at 13. Elon looked at her directly. The difference is I'm not that small, powerless kid anymore. I couldn't run this time, so I had to face it. And you did. Yeah, I did. Elon's expression was complicated, relief mixed with something darker. But it doesn't change anything. That gift Mrs. Van der Merwe saw, I buried it for 35 years. One performance doesn't unbury it. Avril stood beside him now, guilt washing over her completely. Elon, I weaponized your trauma. I took your pain and turned it into entertainment for a crowd. I was angry about your tweet, felt disrespected, and I wanted to embarrass you. That's unforgivable. You didn't know, Elon said, not unkindly. And honestly, maybe I needed it. Needed what? Needed someone to force me into that moment, to prove to myself that I wouldn't freeze again, that the fear didn't own me anymore. Elon exhaled slowly. Mrs. Van der Merwe died 5 years ago. I found out through a Facebook post from someone back in South Africa. I never got to tell her that she was right, that the gift was real, that it wasn't her fault I couldn't use it. Before Avril could respond, the rooftop garden door opened again. Both of them turned to see a woman with silver-dyed hair step out. She was younger than she'd appeared in the crowd, early 40s, with kind eyes that looked eerily familiar. I'm sorry for intruding, she said in a clear South African accent. My name is Marie Van der Merwe. Adelaide was my mother. Elon went completely still, his face draining of color. Marie reached into her purse and pulled out an old, leather-bound journal. And Mr. Musk, I've been looking for you for a very long time. Elon stared at Marie Van der Merwe as if she'd materialized from his memories. His throat tightened. Mrs. Van der Merwe had a daughter. 2 daughters, Marie said softly, stepping closer. I'm the younger one. My name is Marie. She's really... Elon couldn't finish the sentence. She died in 2014, pancreatic cancer. Marie's voice was gentle but firm. She fought for 8 months, but even at the end, even when the morphine confused her about other things, she remembered you perfectly, every detail. Avril stood silently at the edge of the garden, feeling like an intruder but unable to leave. Elon's hands trembled. I saw a Facebook post. Someone from Pretoria posted about her funeral. I thought maybe it was a mistake, that maybe. He trailed off. It wasn't a mistake, Marie said. She's gone, but before she passed, during her last coherent week, she made me promise something. What? Marie held up the old leather journal in her hands. To find you, to give you this. Elon looked at the worn journal, its edges frayed from decades of handling. What is it? My mother kept teaching journals her entire career. Notes about students, their progress, observations. Marie opened it carefully, revealing pages yellowed with age. Most students got a page, maybe 2. You got 20. 20 pages, Elon's voice cracked. 20 pages written over 30 years. Marie flipped through, showing pages covered in her mother's neat handwriting. Some pages had newspaper clippings taped in articles about PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX. She never stopped thinking about you, never stopped following your life. Elon stepped closer, drawn to the journal like a magnet. He could see his own name written repeatedly across the visible pages. Dates, observations, questions. "Why?" he whispered. "I failed her. I wasted everything she taught me. I ran off that stage and never came back." Marie's eyes filled with tears. "That's exactly why she wrote so much. Because you didn't fail her, Elon. She failed you. At least that's what she believed." "That's not true." "Let me show you." Marie found a page marked with a faded red ribbon. "This is from August 18, 1984, the day after the talent show. May I read it to you?" Elon nodded, unable to speak. Marie read slowly, her voice steady despite her emotions. "Today I failed Elon Musk. That brilliant, wounded boy trusted me with something precious, his vulnerability, his hope, and I pushed him onto that stage before he was ready." Elon's eyes closed, tears slipped down his cheeks. "I saw the fear in his eyes backstage," Marie continued. "I saw how his hands shook, and I convinced myself that facing that fear would help him, that conquering it would make him stronger. I was wrong, so terribly wrong." Avril wiped her own eyes, this private pain too raw to witness without feeling it. "Elon wasn't ready to face those cruel children," Marie read. "I should have waited. Should have built his confidence more slowly, in smaller settings with kind audiences. Instead, I threw him to wolves and called it courage." "She blamed herself," Elon whispered, opening his eyes. "All these years I thought she was disappointed in me." "Never," Marie said firmly. "Not for 1 second. She blamed herself, only herself." She held out the journal. "There are 19 more pages, entries from across 3 decades. Would you like to read them?" Elon reached out with shaking hands and took the journal. It felt heavy, weighted with time and love and regret. "There's more," Marie said quietly. "Something else my mother left for you, something she recorded." "Recorded?" Marie reached into her purse and pulled out an old cassette tape. Its plastic case was worn smooth, the label written in Mrs. Van der Merwe's handwriting. "Sari Mara's piano accompaniment, August 1984. Elon's breath caught in his chest. "The day after the talent show," Marie explained, her voice thick with emotion. "My mother went back to the school. She sat at the piano in the empty auditorium and recorded herself playing the accompaniment, the version you were supposed to sing to." "Why would she do that?" Marie met his eyes directly. "Because she never gave up hope that someday, somewhere, you would finish the song." Elon held the journal like it was made of glass. His hand still trembled as he opened it carefully, revealing the first page with his name written at the top. Elon Reeve Musk, March 1984. "May I?" Marie asked gently, gesturing to sit beside him on the stone bench. Elon nodded, unable to find words. Marie sat down and carefully turned the pages, showing him his teacher's neat handwriting. "My mother wrote the first entries during those 6 months she taught you. Listen to this one from April 1984. She read, "Elon arrived early today before the other students came for lunch. He asked if he could practice alone first. I watched from the hallway as he stood at the piano, humming each note before playing it. Perfect pitch is his gift, but perfectionism is his burden. He's terrified of making mistakes. I wonder who taught him that mistakes are catastrophic." Elon's jaw tightened. He remembered those lunch periods vividly, the only peaceful hours in his week. Marie turned several pages. After the talent show, she wrote almost every week. Here's one from September 1984. "Saw Elon in the hallway today. He looked right through me. The hurt in his eyes was unbearable. I tried to speak to him, but he walked away. I've lost him. The one student I wanted most to help, and I drove him away." "I couldn't face her," Elon said quietly. "I felt like I'd disappointed her." She knew. "Listen to this from October. Elon avoids me now. I understand why. I represent his failure, except it wasn't his failure, it was mine. Someday I hope he understands that. Someday I hope he forgives me, even though I don't deserve it." Avril had moved closer, listening intently. The guilt she'd felt earlier deepened. She'd seen Elon as just a wealthy tech CEO, not as someone carrying decades of pain. Marie skipped forward through the journal. She didn't write again until 1995 when she read about your work with Zip2 and PayPal. She found the page and read. Saw an article in the newspaper. Elon Musk, my Elon, is revolutionizing internet payments. The article called him a genius, a visionary. They interviewed him, and even in print I could hear his voice. Still careful, still precise. I wonder if he ever sings anymore. I pray he does, somewhere private where it's safe. Elon shook his head. I didn't, not once. Marie continued flipping through entries. 2002, when PayPal sold to eBay. Elon is worth $180 million. The number is meaningless to me, but what it represents isn't. It represents him refusing to give up, refusing to let one terrible night define him. I wish I could tell him I'm proud, not of the money, of his courage. She turned more pages. 2008, during the financial crisis when Tesla almost went bankrupt. Read that Elon invested his last dollar into Tesla. The company might fail. He might lose everything. But he's still fighting, still believing in impossible things. That's the boy I remember, the one who believed he could sing despite everything telling him he couldn't. Tears rolled down Elon's cheeks now. Each entry was a window into a parallel life, one where someone had been watching, caring, believing in him even when he didn't know it. 2009 was special, Marie said softly. That's when she saw you in person again. What? Elon looked up sharply. Marie found the entry and read. November 12, 2009. Tesla held a presentation in Cape Town about electric vehicles. I bought a ticket, sat in the back row of the auditorium. Elon stood on stage, older, grayer, successful, and talked about changing the world. His hands shook slightly when he first began speaking. His shoulders were tight. I recognized that fear immediately. The same fear from 1984. But here's what was different. He pushed through it. He gave the entire presentation despite the fear. He's learned to function with the wound instead of waiting for it to heal. I don't know if that's brave or tragic. Maybe it's both. Elon's voice was barely a whisper. She was there, in Cape Town. She almost approached you afterward, Marie said. But she lost her nerve. She wrote, "What would I even say? Sorry for ruining your relationship with music. Sorry for pushing you before you were ready. He doesn't need my apologies. He needs to keep moving forward, which is exactly what he's doing." Marie turned to an entry from 2012. SpaceX Dragon docked with the International Space Station today. Elon put a private spacecraft in orbit. I watched the launch online and cried. Not from joy, though I was joyful, but from recognition. He's still trying to prove something. Still trying to show the world he's not that frozen boy on stage. Oh, Elon, you already proved it. You proved it the moment you tried. She understood, Elon said, his voice breaking. She understood what I've spent my whole life running from. She understood because she carried her own guilt, Marie replied. Every success you had, she felt pride and pain simultaneously. Pride that you'd accomplished so much. Pain that you'd done it while carrying a wound she'd inflicted. Marie flipped to one of the final entries, dated 2015. December 21, 2015. Watch the Falcon 9 landing 50 times today. Elon made a rocket land itself. Come back from space and touch down vertically like something from those science fiction books he used to read during lunch in my music room. The news showed him at mission control. Older, more confident in some ways, but I could still see the scared 13-year-old underneath. That boy conquered space itself, but I wonder if he ever conquered that stage. I pray someday he finds a way to finish what we started. Not for me, not for the world, for himself, for that boy who deserves to know his gift was real. The rooftop garden was silent except for distant city sounds. Elon carefully took the journal from Marie's hands and looked at the remaining pages, entries he hadn't heard yet, spanning years of his life. Each page represented a moment when someone had thought of him, cared about him, believed in him. There's one more thing, Marie said quietly, reaching into her purse again. Something my mother left in her will. A message she dictated to her lawyer 2 weeks before she died. She pulled out a folded piece of paper, official-looking with a law firm's letterhead. Before I read this, Marie said, you should know that my mother made me promise not to give it to you unless you were ready. She didn't want to burden you with her guilt. I'm ready, Elon said. I need to hear it. Marie unfolded the paper, her hands shaking slightly. She called it the permission I never gave, Marie said. And she made me swear I would read it to you in person, not send it in a letter. Avril moved even closer now, sensing they were approaching the heart of something profound. Marie took a deep breath and began to read. Marie's voice trembled as she began reading from the official document. Dear Elon, if you're hearing this message, it means Marie found you. It means the journal is in your hands, and you're reading the thoughts I never had the courage to share while I was alive. Elon leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, listening intently. I need to tell you something I should have said on August 18, 1984, Marie continued reading. In the 3 seconds before you froze on that stage, before the fear paralyzed you, I heard something. You hummed the starting pitch, quietly, just for yourself to find your entry point, and it was perfect, absolutely perfect. Elon's head snapped up. What? Marie kept reading. Your body knew what to do. Your gift was working exactly as it should. The perfect pitch was guiding you. Your breath was correct. Your posture was right. Everything was ready. The fear simply arrived faster than the first word could, but for 3 seconds you were perfect. And I never told you that you almost made it. I didn't know, Elon whispered. I never knew. I watched you run off that stage, Marie read, and I knew I should follow you immediately, should tell you that you'd almost succeeded, that you were so close, but I was paralyzed by my own failure. By the time I found you the next day, you'd already decided to quit, and I couldn't find the words to change your mind. Avril wiped tears from her face, her earlier anger at Elon completely dissolved. Marie's voice grew stronger as she continued. So here's what I'm telling you now, 30 years too late. You do not owe me a performance. You do not owe me redemption. You do not owe me proof that my teaching mattered. What you owe yourself is permission. Permission? Elon asked. Permission to be imperfect, Marie read. Permission to be afraid. Permission to try and fail and try again. Permission to keep your gift private if that's what brings you peace. The gift I gave you wasn't perfect pitch, you were born with that. The gift I tried to give you was confidence and I failed. So now I'm giving you something better, permission to be human. Elon's shoulders shook silently. Music doesn't have to be shared to be valid, Marie continued reading. Joy doesn't have to be public to be real. You are enough, Elon Musk, whether you sing or not, whether you perform or not, whether you ever touch music again or not. You are enough. With eternal pride and deepest regret, Adelaide Van der Merwe. Marie folded the paper carefully and held it out to Elon. He took it with shaking hands, staring at the words written in legal typeface, his teacher's final message, preserved and official. She forgave me before I even knew I needed forgiveness, Elon said quietly. She never blamed you in the first place, Marie corrected gently. She only blamed herself. Elon stood abruptly, walking to the edge of the rooftop garden. He looked out at Manhattan, processing 35 years of misunderstood guilt in a single moment. Avril approached Marie quietly. The cassette tape you mentioned, what's on it exactly? The piano accompaniment to Sari Marais, Marie explained. The song he was supposed to sing at the talent show. My mother recorded it the day after when the auditorium was empty. She played it every year on August 17th, the anniversary of the talent show, hoping that somehow, somewhere in the world, Elon had finished the song. Every year, Avril asked, for how long? 30 years, until she got too sick to sit at the piano anymore. Marie pulled the cassette tape from her purse again, holding it carefully. This tape is the most played recording in our house. The case is worn smooth from her fingers. She'd sit in her music room, play it, and imagine his voice completing the melody. Elon turned back from the railing. His eyes were red, but his expression had changed. Something had shifted inside him. Can I hear it? He asked quietly. Marie's eyes widened. The tape. Yes, I want to hear her playing. I want to hear what she listened to all those years. Marie hesitated. Elon, you don't have to. I know I don't have to, Elon interrupted, his voice firmer now. That's the point of her message, right? I don't have to do anything, but I want to. I want to finish what I started, not for performance, not for proof, for me, for her memory, for that 13-year-old boy who never got to complete his song. Avril pulled out her phone immediately. My guitarist Marcus is still downstairs. I can have him bring up his acoustic guitar. We can play along with the tape, support the melody." "Why would you do that?" Elon asked, genuinely confused. "Because I owe you this," Avril said simply. "I humiliated you in public. The absolute least I can do is help you heal in private." She was already texting. "He'll be up in 3 minutes." Marie produced a small portable cassette player from her purse, the kind from the 1980s that still worked. "I brought this, just in case. I didn't know if I'd have the courage to approach you tonight, but something told me to be prepared." She set the cassette player on the stone bench between them and inserted the tape carefully. The cassette clicked into place with a sound that carried decades of nostalgia. "Before we start," Marie said softly, "I want you to know that this isn't a performance. There's no crowd, no cameras, no social media, just us, just this moment." "And her," Elon added, looking at the cassette player. "She's here too, in a way." "Yes," Marie smiled through her tears. "She's here." The rooftop door opened and Marcus appeared, carrying his acoustic guitar. Avril must have explained the situation over text because his expression was serious, respectful. "It's an honor," Marcus said to Elon, offering his hand. "Really?" Elon shook it. "Thank you for doing this." They arranged themselves in a small semicircle on the rooftop garden. Marie with the cassette player, Marcus with his guitar, Avril standing supportively nearby, and Elon in the center, his hands clasped in front of him. Marie's finger hovered over the play button. "Are you ready?" she asked. Elon took a deep breath, then another. His hands were shaking again, not from fear exactly, but from the enormity of what he was about to do. "What if I freeze again?" he asked, the vulnerability in his voice heartbreaking. "What if the fear comes back?" Marie looked at him with her mother's kindness in her eyes. "Then we stop the tape and try another day, or we don't try at all. This is your choice, Elon. Your permission to give yourself, nobody else's." Elon looked at the cassette player, at the worn tape inside it, at the label written in Mrs. Van der Merwe's handwriting 35 years ago. He thought about that auditorium in Pretoria, about Johann Pretorius and the other bullies, about running off the stage in humiliation. Then he thought about SpaceX rockets landing themselves, about Tesla factories producing thousands of cars, about every impossible thing he'd accomplished by refusing to let fear win permanently. "I'm ready," he said finally. "Play it." Marie pressed play. The cassette tape hissed for a moment, the sound of old technology, of preserved time, of a ghost reaching across decades. Then piano music filled the rooftop garden. The recording quality was imperfect. The tape had stretched slightly over 30 years of repeated playing, making the pitch waver almost imperceptibly. But it was unmistakably Mrs. Van der Merwe's playing, careful, measured, filled with hope. The opening notes of Sari Marais floated into the Manhattan night. Marcus listened intently for a few measures, finding the key, feeling the tempo. Then his fingers found the strings and he joined in softly, his acoustic guitar blending with the piano from 1984. The combination created something haunting, past and present playing together, separated by decades but united in this moment. Avril stood perfectly still, barely breathing, afraid to disturb the sacred atmosphere. The melody continued. The moment approached for Elon to begin singing. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Marie's heart sank. Avril closed her eyes. Not again. Please God, not again. The piano kept playing on the tape. The guitar continued. The empty space where Elon's voice should have been grew larger, more obvious. 10 seconds passed. 15. Then Elon closed his eyes and took a breath. Not a panicked gasp, but a deliberate, controlled breath from deep in his diaphragm, exactly as Adelaide Van der Merwe had taught him in 1984. And this time was different. This time he wasn't a 13-year-old boy facing his tormentors. This time he wasn't a billionaire proving something to celebrities. This time he was simply Elon Musk, singing for the woman who had believed in him when no one else did. His voice emerged quietly, tentatively, feeling its way into the melody. "Sari Marais is so ver van my heart." The Afrikaans words came naturally, easily, as if 35 years had collapsed into nothing. The language he hadn't spoken regularly in decades flowed like water finding its course. Marie's tears fell freely. She was hearing her mother's piano, played in an empty auditorium in 1984, recorded alone, listened to every year in grief and hope, finally accompanied by the voice it had been waiting for. Elon's confidence grew with each phrase. His voice found its natural placement, his perfect pitch guiding him effortlessly through the melody. This wasn't the technically perfect performance from downstairs at the party. This was raw, honest, vulnerable. This was what music was supposed to be, not a display of skill, but an expression of truth. Avril listened in awe. She'd heard thousands of performances in her career, from amateurs to legends. This was different. This transcended technique. This was healing happening in real time, set to music. Marcus played gentle harmonies on his guitar, instinctively understanding that his role was to support, not to showcase. His fingers moved lightly across the strings, creating a bed of sound for Elon's voice to rest upon. The song told a story of longing for home, for a place that felt safe, for a time before wounds were inflicted. And as Elon sang, he realized he wasn't just singing about the South Africa described in the lyrics. He was singing about that music room at Bryanston High School. About those lunch hours when he felt protected. About a teacher who saw past his awkwardness to something precious underneath. About a gift he'd buried for 35 years because one night had convinced him he wasn't worthy of it. The bridge arrived, the section that Elon had never reached in 1984, the part that existed only in his nightmares as the thing he'd failed to complete. His voice carried through it cleanly, emotionally. No technical perfection this time. No showing off. Just honest feeling poured into notes that connected across time. On the tape, Mrs. Van der Merwe's playing became slightly more passionate, as if she'd known, even recording alone in 1984, that this section mattered most. As if she'd believed that someday, somehow, someone would hear this moment and understand what it meant. The final verse approached. The completion. The resolution. Elon sang the last lines, his voice strong and clear and free. Mar dis verbi, and my heart vergas dit nai, dan bly dit mar net so. The translation echoed in his mind. But it's over, and my heart doesn't forget it, then it just stays that way. Except it wasn't staying that way. Not anymore. The final note hung in the air. The guitar faded gently. The tape's piano played its closing phrase, Mrs. Van der Merwe's fingers pressing keys in an empty auditorium 35 years ago, finishing the piece alone, hoping. The cassette clicked. The music stopped. Silence filled the rooftop garden. For several heartbeats, no one moved. No one spoke. No one dared to break the spell. Then Elon began to laugh. Not from humor, but from profound, overwhelming relief. The kind of laughter that comes when a wound that's festered for 35 years finally begins to heal. When a weight you didn't realize you've been carrying suddenly lifts. When you finish something you started as a child. I did it, he said, his voice shaking with emotion and wonder and disbelief. I actually finished it. After all these years, I finished the song. Marie was sobbing openly, clutching the cassette player to her chest. My mother would have been so happy, so incredibly, impossibly happy. Avril wrapped her arms around Marcus, both of them overwhelmed by what they'd just witnessed. That was beautiful, she whispered. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Marcus nodded, carefully setting his guitar aside, his own eyes wet. That's what music is supposed to be, man. Not about hitting perfect notes or impressing people, just real, just honest, just human. Elon stood on shaking legs and walked to Marie. He took both her hands in his. Thank you. Thank you for bringing her back to me, even if just for a few minutes. Thank you for keeping that recording safe. Thank you for finding me. She never left you, Marie said through her tears. That's what the journal proves. She was with you every time a rocket launched, every time you tried something impossible, every time you refused to give up. She was there, watching, believing, hoping you'd find your way back to this moment. I wish I could tell her, Elon said, his voice breaking, that her lessons mattered, that those 6 months saved me in ways she never knew, that even though I stopped singing, I never forgot what she taught me about breathing through fear. You just did tell her, Marie said softly, touching the cassette player. You just sang her song. That's the only message she ever wanted to hear, the only proof she needed that you were okay. Elon looked down at the cassette player, this ancient piece of technology that had preserved a moment of hope across decades. Can I keep the recording? Have it digitized properly, preserved? Of course, Marie said. That's why I brought it. It's yours now. It always was. Avril stepped forward, her voice gentle. "Elon, I need to say something." He turned to her. "I'm sorry," she said simply, "for the challenge downstairs, for turning your pain into a spectacle, for not understanding what I was really doing. You deserved better than that." Elon looked at her thoughtfully for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled, a real smile, not his usual smirk. "You gave me something too, though," he said. "You didn't mean to, but you did." "What?" "The push I needed. I could have gone my whole life never knowing if I could do it again, never knowing if the fear still owned me." He extended his hand. "So thank you, genuinely." Avril shook his hand, then impulsively hugged him. "Delete that tweet about singing being easy, though. It's still insulting to artists." Elon laughed, a real laugh this time. "Already done. Deleted it while you were texting Marcus." The four of them stood together on the rooftop as the Manhattan night deepened around them. No cameras now, no crowds, no viral videos being recorded, just four people who had shared something honest. Marie carefully ejected the cassette tape from the player and handed it to Elon. He held it like it was made of crystal. "There's one more thing in the journal," Marie said quietly. "One final entry my mother wrote. Would you like to hear it, or would you prefer to read it yourself later?" "Tell me," Elon said. "I want to hear it in your voice. It makes it feel like she's here." Marie pulled out the journal one last time and turned to the very last page. The entry was dated just 6 days before Adelaide van der Merwe's death. Her handwriting was shaky from the morphine, Marie warned, but she insisted on writing it herself. She began to read, her voice trembling with emotion. Marie's voice was barely above a whisper as she read the final entry. "June 8, 2014. 6 days left, they tell me. Maybe 7 if I'm lucky. Lucky seems like a strange word for dying, but I suppose more time is always lucky when you have unfinished business." Elon listened intently, his hand still clutching the cassette tape. "I've been thinking about Elon constantly, wondering if Marie will ever find him, wondering if these words will ever reach him, or if they'll simply be buried with me, another secret the earth keeps." Marie paused, composing herself before continuing. "If you're reading this, Elon, then my daughter succeeded where I failed. She found you. She gave you the journal, the tape, the message. And I hope, I pray, that somewhere in those pages you found what I could never give you in person, absolution." Elon's eyes closed, fresh tears sliding down his cheeks. "But absolution isn't really what you need, is it? Because you never did anything wrong. The only person who needed forgiving was me, and I've spent 30 years unable to forgive myself." Marie's voice strengthened as she continued reading. "So here's what I want you to know, what I should have told you on August 18, 1984. You are not defined by that moment. You are not the boy who froze on stage. You are not your fear. You are not your wound." Avril moved closer, drawn by the power of these final words. "You are the courage it took to step onto that stage in the first place. You are the hours of practice when you could have been hiding. You are the trust you placed in someone who failed to protect it. You are the 3 seconds of perfect breath and perfect pitch before the fear arrived. You are everything that came after, every risk, every attempt, every impossible thing you refused to let fear prevent." Elon opened his eyes, looking at Marie as she read. "The gift I tried to give you wasn't perfect pitch. You already had that. It wasn't musical skill. You learned that easily. The gift I tried to give you was permission to be imperfect. But I failed because I pushed you into a situation where only perfection felt safe." Marie's voice cracked, but she pressed on. "So now, 30 years late, I'm giving you that permission again. Permission to try and fail. Permission to be afraid. Permission to freeze, to run, to hide. Permission to never sing again if that's what brings you peace. Permission to sing privately, quietly, for no one but yourself. Permission to sing loudly and proudly if you find that courage. Permission to be human, Elon. Fully, messily, imperfectly human." The rooftop garden was absolutely silent. "You don't owe me a performance. You don't owe me redemption. You don't owe me proof that my teaching mattered. What you owe yourself is kindness. The same kindness I should have shown you when you were 13 and terrified and trusting me with your heart." Marie's tears fell onto the page. "I am so proud of you, not because you became successful or wealthy or famous. I'm proud because you survived, because you kept trying, because you refused to let one terrible night destroy you, even though it wounded you deeply. Elon's shoulders shook with silent sobs. If I could go back to August 17, 1984, I would tell you something before you walked onto that stage. I would say, if you freeze, if you can't make a sound, if the fear wins, I will still be proud of you. Your gift will still be real. Your value will not diminish. You will still be the remarkable boy I know you are. Marie looked up from the journal directly at Elon. But I can't go back. So I'm telling you now, hoping these words reach across time and death, you are enough. You have always been enough, with or without music, with or without performance, with or without perfection. You are enough, Elon Musk. Simply, completely, eternally enough. Marie closed the journal slowly. With all the love a teacher can hold for a student, and all the regret a human can carry, Adelaide Van der Merwe. The silence that followed was profound, sacred. Elon stood motionless, the cassette tape in one hand, the weight of 35 years finally lifting from his shoulders. His face was wet with tears, but his expression had changed. The tightness around his eyes had softened. The tension in his jaw had released. He looked younger somehow, lighter. She forgave me for something I didn't even do, he said finally, his voice hoarse, and gave me permission I didn't know I was waiting for. What permission? Avril asked softly. Elon looked at her, then at Marie, then at Marcus. Permission to be broken, permission to not have all the answers, permission to carry wounds without having to pretend they don't exist. He laughed quietly, wiping his eyes. I've spent my entire adult life trying to prove I'm not that scared kid from Pretoria, building companies, launching rockets, doing impossible things, all to show the world and myself that I'm not weak, that I'm not a failure. But you were never weak, Marie said firmly. You were wounded, there's a difference. Yeah, Elon nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm starting to understand that. He looked down at the journal Marie had handed him, at the cassette tape he still held, at the physical evidence of someone who had believed in him even when he couldn't believe in himself. I spent 35 years running from that stage, Elon said quietly, trying to prove I wasn't that frozen boy. But tonight, he paused, searching for words. Tonight I realized something. I don't need to prove I'm not him anymore, because he's not someone to run from. He's someone who needed compassion. And he never got it, not from the bullies, not from himself, and he thought not from Mrs. Van der Merwe. But he did get it, Marie said, touching the journal. He always had it, he just didn't know. I know now, Elon said simply. He walked to the edge of the rooftop one final time, looking out at Manhattan. The city lights stretched endlessly before him. Millions of people, millions of stories, millions of wounds being carried and healed and reopened every day. Thank you, he said without turning around. All of you, for tonight, for this moment, for helping me finish something I started when I was 13 years old. What will you do now? Avril asked. Elon turned back, a small smile on his face. The same things I was doing before, build rockets, make cars, try to change the world. But maybe, he paused, maybe I'll stop running so hard, stop trying to prove something to that auditorium full of people who don't matter anymore. And the singing? Marie asked gently. Elon looked at the cassette tape in his hand. I'll keep this, digitize it, preserve it properly, and maybe sometimes when I'm alone I'll hum along, private, quiet, just for me. He met Marie's eyes. Your mother gave me permission to keep my gift private. I think I'll take her up on that. Marie smiled through her tears. She'd like that. Elon walked over and hugged Marie, a real hug full of gratitude and grief and healing. Thank you for finding me, for giving me her words, for letting me finish the song. Thank you for being brave enough to sing it, Marie replied. When they separated, Elon turned to Avril. She straightened, preparing for whatever he might say. I'm sorry for that tweet, Elon said. It was dismissive and ignorant. Music isn't easy. It's one of the hardest things humans do, putting emotion into sound, making people feel something with just notes and words. And I'm sorry for humiliating you, Avril responded. Even if it led here to this moment, the intention was wrong. We're even then, Elon said, extending his hand. Avril took it, then pulled him into a brief hug. Take care of yourself, and that gift. Finally, Elon approached Marcus, who'd stood quietly throughout, providing the musical foundation for healing. Thank you for your guitar, for understanding what this was. Marcus nodded. Music is for moments like this, man, Not for stages or crowds, for real human moments. It was an honor. The four of them stood together one last time, an unlikely group brought together by chance and cassette tape and 35 years of unfinished business. "I should go," Elon said finally. "Grimes is probably worried sick." "One more thing," Marie said, reaching into her purse. She pulled out a small envelope. "My mother's address in Pretoria, the house where she lived, where she taught piano until the end, where she listened to that tape every year." Elon took the envelope carefully. "If you're ever back in South Africa," Marie continued, "you're welcome there to visit, to see the music room, to sit at the piano she played. No pressure, just an invitation." "I'd like that," Elon said softly, "someday." They walked together toward the rooftop exit, leaving behind the stone bench where healing had happened, where a song had finally been completed, where permission had been granted 35 years too late but exactly on time. Elon found Grimes waiting by the hotel elevator, her face etched with worry. When she saw him, relief flooded her features. "You've been gone for over an hour," she said, rushing to him. "Are you okay? What happened up there?" Elon held up the journal and the cassette tape. "I finished something I started 35 years ago." She looked at the worn items in his hands, confused but sensing their importance. "Do you want to talk about it?" "On the way home," Elon said quietly. "Right now, I just need to leave before anyone else tries to talk to me." They slipped out through a side entrance, avoiding the remaining party guests. In the car, Elon told her everything. About Mrs. Van der Merwe, about the talent show in 1984, about the journal entries spanning 3 decades, about singing Sari Marais to a cassette tape on a Manhattan rooftop. Grimes listened without interrupting, tears streaming down her face. "You never told me any of this. In all our time together, you never mentioned you could sing." "I couldn't talk about it," Elon said simply. "The wound was too deep." "And now?" Elon looked at the cassette tape in his hands. "Now I have permission to carry it differently, to stop running from it." That night, alone in his home office, Elon opened the journal to the first page and began reading. Every entry, every observation, every moment of pride and regret that Adelaide Van der Merwe had documented over 30 years. He read about her watching him in the hallway at Bryanston High School, wishing she could apologize. He read about her buying newspapers to follow his career from South Africa. He read about her sitting in the back row of a Tesla presentation in Cape Town, watching him fight through fear to give his speech. She had been there, not physically present in his life, but present nonetheless, watching, caring, believing. At 3 a.m., Elon pulled out his phone. The videos from the Met Gala afterparty had exploded across the internet. Over 200 million views across all platforms. News outlets had picked up the story. Elon Musk's hidden talent stuns celebrity crowd. Tech billionaire reveals perfect pitch in viral performance. The note that shocked the world. Music teachers were using clips in their classes as examples of proper breath control and pitch accuracy. Voice coaches were analyzing his technique frame by frame. The video of him hitting that high B-flat had become a meme. People couldn't believe a tech CEO could produce that sound. Tesla's stock had jumped 4% the next day. Analysts called it the Musk multiplier effect. Even his singing ability somehow translated to investor confidence. Elon read the headlines with detachment. They'd seen a performance. They hadn't witnessed the healing. He opened Twitter and typed. Earlier tweet about singing was ignorant and disrespectful to artists. Deleted it. Music is one of humanity's hardest and most important gifts. Deepest apologies to all musicians. Within minutes, the tweet had thousands of likes and responses. Avril Lavigne was among the first to reply. "Takes courage to admit when you're wrong. Respect. At Elon Musk." She followed up with a separate tweet. "I'm donating $100,000 to music education programs in South Africa in memory of Adelaide Van der Merwe, a teacher who believed in the power of music to heal. Match me if you can." Elon immediately responded. "Tesla will match $1 million to music education in South Africa. Mrs. Van der Merwe changed my life. Time to help her change others. Thank you, Avril Lavigne." The Twitter exchange went viral. Within 24 hours, other celebrities and companies pledged donations. A fund was established, the Adelaide Van der Merwe Music Foundation. It would provide free music lessons to underprivileged students in Pretoria, starting at Bryanston High School. Marie van der Merwe called Elon the next afternoon, crying with gratitude. "My mother would be so moved. She always believed music should be accessible to everyone, especially kids who need it most." "It's the least I can do," Elon replied. "She gave me something priceless. This is just money." The following week, Elon had the cassette tape professionally digitized by an audio restoration specialist who worked with the Library of Congress. The technician carefully transferred Mrs. van der Merwe's 1984 piano recording to pristine digital format, removing the tape warble while preserving the authentic warmth of the original. "This is remarkable," the technician said, listening through professional headphones. "You can hear the emotion in her playing. Every note has intention." She was thinking of someone while she played this. "She was," Elon confirmed quietly. "She was thinking of me." Elon kept the original cassette in a climate-controlled display case in his private office at SpaceX headquarters. The digital version lived on his phone, his computer, his everywhere. And every year on August 17th, the anniversary of that terrible night in 1984, Elon would close his office door, play the recording, and hum along quietly. Just for himself. Just for Mrs. van der Merwe. Just for that 13-year-old boy who had finally finished his song. The media requests were relentless. Every talk show wanted him to sing again. Music producers offered recording contracts. Someone started a petition for him to perform at the Grammys. Elon declined them all. He gave one statement through his publicist: "Music is private for me, it's personal, it's healing. I won't be performing publicly. Please respect this boundary." Most people understood. Some were disappointed. But the story of why he wouldn't sing again eventually leaked. Journalists found old Bryanston High School yearbooks, interviewed former students, pieced together the 1984 talent show incident. The narrative shifted from billionaire has hidden talent to wounded boy finds healing decades later. It became a story about trauma, resilience, and the teachers who shape us in ways we don't understand until much later. Marie van der Merwe was interviewed by several South African news outlets. She showed them her mother's music room, still preserved exactly as Adelaide had left it. The piano where she'd played that cassette recording. The shelves of teaching journals, each student documented with care. "My mother believed every student had a gift," Marie told the reporters. "Some gifts were obvious, others were hidden, but they were all real and they all mattered." She never gave up on any of her students but Elon. Elon was special to her because she felt she'd failed him. She spent 30 years trying to make amends for one moment. "Do you think she would have been happy with how this ended?" a journalist asked. Marie smiled, touching the piano keys. "She would have been overjoyed. Not because Elon sang for a crowd, she wouldn't have cared about that, but because he finished the song, because he found peace with his gift. That's all she ever wanted." 6 months later, Elon was back in South Africa for a SpaceX meeting with the South African Space Agency. He had a free afternoon. He drove to Pretoria, to the address Marie had given him. The house was modest, in a quiet neighborhood with jacaranda trees lining the streets. Marie met him at the door. "Welcome," she said warmly. "Come in." She led him through the house to the music room at the back. It was exactly as he'd imagined, walls lined with bookshelves, an upright piano by the window, soft light filtering through lace curtains. It smelled like old paper and furniture polish and memories. "This is where she listened to the tape every year," Marie said, gesturing to a comfortable chair beside the piano. "She'd sit right there, play the recording, and remember you." Elon sat in the chair. It felt sacred somehow, sitting where Adelaide van der Merwe had sat, hoping and believing across impossible distance. "Would you like to play the piano?" Marie asked. "She kept it perfectly tuned. She'd want you to." Elon approached the piano slowly. He hadn't touched piano keys since 1984. His fingers found middle C, the first note Mrs. van der Merwe had ever played for him. The tone rang out clear and pure. His perfect pitch confirmed it was exactly in tune. He played a simple scale, then another. The muscle memory was still there, buried under decades but not forgotten. Then, without planning to, he began playing Seri Marais. Not perfectly, not like a professional, just a man at a piano playing a song that meant something to someone who had meant something to him. Marie stood in the doorway, crying silently. When Elon finished, he sat quietly, his hands resting on the keys. "She's here," he said softly. "I can feel her, in this room, in this piano, in this moment." "She never left," Marie replied. "She's in every student she taught, every life she touched, every moment of belief she offered when no one else did." Elon stood and embraced Marie. "Thank you for this, for all of it, for keeping her memory alive." "Thank you for honoring it," Marie said, "for finishing what you started, for letting her be part of your healing." When Elon left Pretoria that evening, he felt different, lighter. The wound from 1984 wasn't gone. Wounds that deep never completely disappear, but it had transformed from something sharp and painful into something softer, a scar instead of an open cut. He could carry it now, could acknowledge it, could even occasionally touch it without flinching. That night, flying back to California, Elon opened his laptop and wrote an email to the Adelaide Van der Merwe Music Foundation board. "I'd like to fund a scholarship specifically for students with perfect pitch, not because the gift makes them special, but because it can make them feel isolated. I want them to have the support I didn't have. The teachers, the encouragement, the safe spaces to develop their gift without pressure or expectation. Let's find those kids and tell them what Mrs. Van der Merwe told me. You are enough, exactly as you are." The scholarship was announced 3 months later. It would provide full music education, instrument and private lessons to students in South Africa identified with perfect pitch. No performance requirements, no competitions, just support, encouragement, and the space to grow. The first recipient was a 12-year-old girl from Soweto named Tandu. She had perfect pitch but came from a family that couldn't afford lessons. When told she'd received the scholarship, she cried. Elon video called her personally to congratulate her. "Your gift is real," he told her, "but it doesn't define you. You define it. Use it if you want. Keep it private if you want. Just know that someone believes in you." "Thank you, Mr. Musk," Tandu said shyly. "I'll make you proud." "You already have," Elon replied, "just by being exactly who you are." Years passed. Elon never sang publicly again. He declined every request, every offer, every opportunity to capitalize on those viral videos. But privately, in moments of stress or sadness or contemplation, he would hum, quietly, to himself, songs from his childhood, songs from his present, songs that didn't exist yet but formed themselves in his mind, guided by the perfect pitch that had never left. The gift was still there. It had always been there, waiting patiently for permission to exist without purpose, without obligation, without the need to prove anything to anyone. And that permission, granted by a teacher who had loved him enough to spend 30 years hoping he'd be okay, became the most valuable thing Elon Musk ever received. Not the billions, not the companies, not the rockets or the cars or the headlines, just permission to be human, imperfect, wounded, healing, enough. And that was the end of this story. A tale of healing, courage, and the teachers who believe in us even when we can't believe in ourselves. Where are you listening from? Drop your location in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories like this one. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread kindness and awareness together, one story at a time. Thank you for listening.